1 year at the Huntington Hilton, and here we go, back at the school, back in that big auditorium, back with hundreds of vendors, back with an expected thousands of attendees. And it was interesting. Oh, we got the hair in the air again. Got to get a mirror one of these days. But it is, I was asked this question, and this is the other big thank you goes out to Scott Possessa. So on Saturday at 2 p.m., you're going to hear Ron Loveland, co-chair of the Manufacturing Committee, myself, and Scott Possessa, Radio Job Line. We'll be discussing the manufacturing world, the trade show, some other things along the way there too. So it was it's good. As Scott puts it, he likes to get his opinion out there, and he did. He definitely did. Guys, wealth of information. Really impressive what he does there. So Scott, thank you very much for that. So that's Saturday, 2 p.m. on LI News Radio 103.9. And you can listen online at linewsradio.com, or you can listen on air on a regular radio, 103.9. How many people have regular radios? I wonder. And that really is the whole point of like so many things that are going on. It's like, what is today like? And actually, it's always been a question of mine too, but what today is like in the world of anything really, but let's just go with manufacturing. And how much is that going to change in another 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years? Let me tell you, quite a bit. Chris, good afternoon to you, my friend. How much is that going to change? The automotive industry, Chris. How much is that going to change? There was one article or post that was put out there that by 2030, 25% of all cars being sold will be battery-operated cars. I wonder how many of those cars are going to actually have drivers, driverless cars. I mean, 5 years ago, you would think that's absolutely nuts. 5 years ago, a lot of things that we're doing today, you think there's no way. Come on, really? You get on the train, you go into the city, you go to work, you go to an office building. That's what you do. That's the way it is. I commute. I don't, many people commute. I spent a good amount of time commuting. I live out on the island. I was commuting into the city, 2 hours in, 2 hours home. Now, all of a sudden, people don't do that. Some still do. I get it, but some don't. And all of a sudden, it's becoming more and more standard practice for not to commute, to work in an office digitally, not virtually. You're really at work. You're just digitally at work doing that. And how many of us really need to go into an office, depending upon the setting? There's a lot of things I do that I'm sitting in an office all by myself anyhow. Doesn't matter if I'm doing it from a home office or if I'm doing it in an office building. Makes no difference in the world. Some computer equipment, stuff like that. But you know what? Makes no difference in the world. So what about manufacturing? What about that? What about manufacturing like anything, really? I mean, we take a look and, you take a look at the food industry over the last hundreds of years, or society over the last hundreds of years. What do we have? 2020, 2022. Yeah, go back to 1922. Maybe go back a little bit further than that, but not much further than that. We were a farming community, right? Then the Industrial Revolution came along, maybe going back a little bit further. But anyhow, you had the Industrial Revolution come along, and then all of a sudden, people didn't need to work on farms because you had mechanical equipment working on farms. And you went into the city to go to work. You worked on assembly lines. Well, they did things by hand. Then assembly lines came up, right? Ford, the manufacturing of cars, was assembly line. You had men, predominantly, I guess it was men, up and down that assembly line waiting for the car to come to them. And now it's not that. Go to take a look at an automotive manufacturer or many manufacturers. Many of it, much of that assembly line stuff has become automated. But is that how we perceive manufacturers? Is that the right way to perceive manufacturers? I don't think so. I don't think so. Hey, Kurt, 6 minutes late. How many quarter-mile runs can you make here's your math equation. How many eighth-mile runs can you make in a 6-minute time frame? Quite a few. But manufacturing, I mean, we were discussing that, Ron, Scott, and I, about what is the perception of manufacturers. What are the jobs like with these manufacturers? And, I think that could be some of the issue, we'll say. And Ron mentioned that too. It's like the PR of the companies locally to the job force, not the marketing to customers, but the PR or the marketing to a job force. Is it exciting to work for these companies? Well, that's one of the reasons. That's actually a big reason, why I've gotten involved with a couple of different things. And I think the answer to that is yes. We do need to put excitement into different careers. And there probably is a lot of excitement in careers that I'm just starting to learn more and more about. And that's what's kind of piqued my interest in the whole thing. With the drag racing, right? I just thought it would be fun entertainment. Well, learning that it's got a big economic impact, not only on the folks that are racing the cars, but in the area too, the hotels, restaurants, all that. That's been big. I think there's going to be a positive impact with that whole thing on the. I saw that, Chris. On the tourism side of things, but then all of a sudden it became kind of apparent. What about the career side of things? You get these high school automotive programs that become more exciting because these students can build a car. And Oceanside, it's funny, Oceanside High School built the car. And I know those students would love to see that car go out and do a little bit more than, just kind of tool around the parking lot over at the school. But it's not a legal car. It's not licensed and stuff like that. But they could trailer it to a track. And my funny feeling, I got a feeling that the teacher over there would look to do that because, yes, he races his own car too. And that's why, wow, wouldn't it be cool if there was a track, a legal place to drive a car like that? Safety considerations, of course. It's got to have all the safety features in there, but it doesn't actually have to be a licensed car. It has to be a safe car. That's what he's teaching there. Now, all of a sudden, the automotive programs become that much more exciting because they can actually do something with it. Do something with it. It's like we were discussing robotics, and this was a crazy idea, but the robotics industry. Well, you have these robotic fights that take place, right? And wouldn't it be cool if? And I think it does happen. That students build these robots, and I don't know, and you get these tournaments where they're competing with each other. What if the manufacturers got involved in that thing too? Not to compete against the students, but to support a little bit the students in what they're doing. Now all of a sudden, you've got something physical being built that might lead on to new products. And it does. All these things do. So it's creativity. And that's the beautiful part. One little story, and then I want to get to this thing over here, is that I spoke to a gentleman, and darned if I remember his name. He's in Connecticut, and he was working with it was a helicopter company. And the helicopter company wanted to develop, I think it was new set of blades or something like that with the helicopters. So what they did is they approached the schools, students, with the idea, and of course they did their own thing with the company. And I'll be flat out, I don't know what the outcome of this whole thing was, but the conversation I had with this gentleman at the time was, I wonder what the students would come up with that is totally different than what the engineers would come up with. Bad idea? No, that's not where I was going with it. The idea is that they don't know the rules. They don't know the rules. They understand how the whole thing works. I mean, there's certainly a competency level that gets tossed into the equation, but they might come up with something totally different because they're not going back on, well, we always did it that way. That might be what the engineers look at. We always did it that way. Unless they're entrepreneurs, very creative in there, unless that company really supports the idea of entrepreneurs, folks that are entrepreneurial inside of a company, and that company really embraces the idea of creativity, about thinking outside the box for real, not just a tagline thinking outside the box, but for real, trying stuff that's new, where a company is willing to fail. That's right, take on projects that just completely blow up. It's like, oh my gosh, that was terrible. Bad idea. I was going to say useless idea. That's never useless. Bad idea. It didn't work. But here's what we learned from it. That's great. That's great. I don't know about you, But I would much prefer to work at a company where the idea of trying something new that might work out is an important thing to do and embraced by the company, right? Embraced by the company. That's a creative company. And I tend to think that our manufacturers here on the island that continue to grow have to have that component within them. Otherwise, they're not going to grow. Take on new products, maybe, new way of doing something, increase efficiency, take on new customers, work in different areas. That's creativity. It's all within that thing. And I can tell you one story, and I'd like to be able to quote him on that one, but it is a company that's participating in the HIA trade show. I did speak to the president of that company, and it was not recent. So, again, I would much prefer to be able to quote this person by asking if I can actually quote this person. But here was the conversation that went along with it, is that he's looking for employees. I said, okay, where do you go for employees? He said, you know what I'm really looking for? Tell me. I could listen every once in a while and not speak. Hang on to any comments on that one there, folks. So I listened. He said, I want somebody that loves playing with metal. Thinking like, a kid playing in a sandbox. Or maybe some of you folks over there that loves playing with these race cars, toying with a new thing. Maybe make a little adjustment here, a little adjustment there, and see how it works out. I think that's one of the fun things the team out there has with doing multiple runs over the course of a day. Because you get to change things up a little bit, make it work out that way. You get to experiment with things. But that's what he was looking for on the career side, not the hobby side. Some of you take it a little bit more than hobby, but that's what he was looking for in an employee. He wasn't necessarily looking for somebody with 10 years of experience. Maybe there's positions open for that, probably is. But that employee that he wanted, that he really wanted, who wanted to see that placement in that company become a career, not a job, but a career, was someone who enjoyed playing with metal and experimenting and looking at different ways of doing things. And here's the answer why. One is that they become a very engaged employee. Only if the company allows for that. Obviously, he does, since that's what he's looking for. And also the way the company operates. A metal company, what would you think? I tell you what I thought. I don't know what you think. It's a one-way conversation, except for the little comments going on over here. But I thought it's a metal company. What do you make? You make steel bars, you make nuts and bolts, you make all that kind of stuff. How creative do you need to be? Oh, was I wrong? Because what they're doing is they're creating items, creating metal pieces, objects, equipment that are all, or many of it is at least, unique to what the customer needs. Well, now all of a sudden you have a customer sitting down in a room, and the customer starts to explain what it is they're trying to accomplish. And then in that room is, the creative student that got hired because they love working with metal, because they've been in some high school program, automotive, maybe something else. But if it's an automotive program, they've been working with steel, they've been working with aluminum, they've been working maybe with sheet metal on the body of the car. They've been molding it in different areas to make it fit a certain shape. They've been making sure that car is safe, learning all about tubular strength, which is something I only learned a short while ago about. They're also learning how to work with solid steel, right? You got to have the frame of the car in there too, but that crumple zone to make sure the car can absorb an impact should that happen. And we all know it does. And then that student is sitting there listening to, that employee is sitting there listening to the customer, and he gets it. That's creativity inside of a company, and that becomes the growth of the company. That, I think, is absolutely fantastic. So if this idea of a permanent drag strip helps out, that student become more creative, which in turn helps that manufacturer find employees that are that excited about screwing around with metal and seeing what works and what doesn't work and failing, quote unquote, along the way. Well, man, I think that's a great idea. And I think that's a great idea for absolutely everybody, because those companies, they need the employees. They're looking, and that's what the whole big thing over there with the job fair is all about, with their aspect of their job fair is about. They're out there looking for employees, engaged employees. So I give them a lot of credit for participating in this trade show, because most of these companies, the reality is, most of these companies, most of these manufacturers, their clientele is not here. They're making stuff for clientele that's not here. So it's not like I'm going to be walking down that aisle and say, oh, yeah, here's what I need, 10,000 ball bearings or something like that, or airplane parts or whatever. Maybe there's a what if in there, but no. So it's a whole different aspect of it. And I think that's really cool. So that side of it is good. So that is it. So you know what I wanted to pop over to? And let's see if I could share this thing. I picked up with one of the companies, Chrome tab. Let's see if that's it. And there we go. CBC. This is one of the companies that is participating at the trade show, manufacturing. It's Contract Pharmacal. You probably can't read that in there, but I'm just going to go through this and hopefully you can. Careers, come make an impact with us. We're always looking for driven people to join the CPC team. What unites our diverse team of professionals is a passion for innovation, hard work, and making the world a better place. Not terrible, is it? Not terrible. See our current positions. All right, let's see what we have over here. Let's go. Wow, there's quite a few actually, and this is all as of a couple of days ago. There's quite a bit going on here. Packaging maintenance, validation specialist that's bilingual. That's good. Packaging maintenance. Operators entry level, no experience, will train. That's for mixing, blending, and granulation. Well, I don't, whatever that is, but it is. But they're looking for somebody that's got an interest with that one. There's a heavy lifter role, manufacturing, scientist, advanced research and development. Obviously, some of these things one would probably need to go into with experience, but a lot of it probably not. Let's go here. Let's take a look at this one. Position summary. This is for manager packaging maintenance. All right, this one is definitely looking for experience. High school or GED diploma, bachelor's degree preferred, minimum of 15 years experience in mechanics and electrical, preferably in pharmaceutical manufacturing. But a lot of them were not, or many of them were not. So there is possibilities there. Remember, this is not just the show, and what they're looking for is not purely for the students. This is for people also that are there we go, that are looking for new, hey, Dave, that are looking for new careers, quite a bit. There's quite a few people looking around to improve upon. And hey, wouldn't it be nice to be working local too? They're not having to travel so far if that is what you do. So these companies are out there. And here's the other thing I wanted to bring up. And who we got there? Chris. There we go. Hey, Marie, good to have you on board over here. And all good, definitely good. We'll put up any websites anybody wants on this thing too. But here's the one. I guess Marie, maybe probably a good time on this one. But I said we're going to Calverton. That's right. So let's go to the next one here. Next share screen, and that is going to be to Calverton, New York. And here we go. Boom. Did you know, and this is an event that's taking place June 1st. Let me make sure I got that right. But June 1st at the Stony Brook University Food Business Incubator at Calverton. So it is at EPCAL, by the way, for the racing folks out there. But it's on the EPCAL park. It's Stony Brook University. Stony Brook University actually has two incubators. One of them is at one of them is the Business Incubator, that's at Stony Brook University in Stony Brook. And the other one is the Food Incubator, which is out at Calverton. What I didn't know is the fact that there's so many companies out there and you could buy directly from these companies. So the event they're having is June 1st. It is from 2 to 4 p.m. It is coordinated actually through the Stony Brook area councilman, Jonathan Cornreich, and it is going to be held at the incubator. There's 70 or so companies that are using the incubator, and these are companies that are in business. They're in business, just like the business incubator over here in Stony Brook. They're in business. So what they want to do is to create a networking event inclusive of these businesses. And I just wanted to scroll through a couple of them as we go along here. You know, a network event with these businesses and also within the industries that would make sense for them to be in front of, which is anything that is food related. And some of these companies are, well, let's take this one here, Bliss Pastry, since right here, it's gluten free, gluten free, dairy free, all that kind of stuff has become more and more prevalent with a lot of different groups in there. So Bliss Pastries is there. Bonzo Fries, that actually sounds like a lot of fun. Bonzo Fries are based on both Italian and French street foods. Another one, gluten free. Et cetera. So there is quite a few things going on. I guess these are motivational cookies for the soul. You gotta love that. But I'm looking forward to actually meeting some of these companies, that are out there. And the point is, let's get back over here. The point is with all of this stuff is that there's so many opportunities. Whether you're a startup company to reach out to Stony Brook University for one, the business incubator, the food incubator out there. You also have the small business development centers where there's one in Stony Brook, there's one in Farmingdale, but there's also ones across the nation that is actually a government sponsored. In other words, we're paying for that. Everybody that's paying taxes is paying for that. But it's a government sponsored entity, the Small Business Development Center. And they have got coaches there that'll work with you. And it's not just the startup companies. They work with some very well established companies as they continue to expand because they are in turn working closely with these IDAs, the industrial development agencies in and around their areas, which are helping with the financing and whatever tax breaks and things like that that's going on. So the businesses are participating with a lot of these government entities, and maybe there's opportunities within that whole world. But from a business perspective, there's a ton of growth opportunities as the companies continue to grow. But, and here's the major but, without engaged employees, it becomes hard. I've seen many companies out here that are looking for employees, and they're not just looking for employees. They shouldn't be looking for employees. Do I really know what they're looking for? No. I can tell you what I think they should be looking for, but that's my opinion. I know that if I was out there looking to hire people, heck, even if I'm out there networking, right? Who am I looking to be with? Folks that are engaged, folks that are really sincere about what it is that they're doing, not just talking about, but actually doing something about it, that actionable thing. That's important. That's like a lot of groups I'm involved with, the nonprofit stuff, they're fully engaged. That's good. If you're just along for the ride, frustrating. Even fellow employees that I've worked with, if you're just along for the ride, it's like, okay, I get it. I mean, there was one person I spoke with, had her own business, and she was like, well, I might sell, might looking to get out. And I'm like, well, if you go, I'm going to do that, to make the decision, make the call. But if you're fully engaged in it and you're doing whatever it is that you're doing for a flat out reason, a real true reason, that's engaged. You're engaged. That means you should be going out and finding other employees that are engaged in the process, networking partners that are engaged in the process. whatever it might be, whether it's business or volunteering, anything that you do. That's really where the growth comes from. It's maybe, of course, it's your own skill, your own determination, but it's the teamwork that makes it happen. That's what makes the whole thing work and work well. All right, so what do you got? You got the HIA trade show on the 26th. Ready for this? You got the food incubator on the 1st. On the 3rd, if you're in Suffolk, the Suffolk County Alliance of Chambers, they're going to be in Riverhead, actually, at the at the theater. I forget the name of it, but it's a theater in downtown Riverhead. And my understanding is that the Riverhead supervisor will be one of the folks speaking at this thing to talk about what's going on in downtown Riverhead. So that should be really interesting. She was on Jay Oliver's show one morning talking about the changes that are taking place over there, how they're opening up the waterfront. So that side of it is really, terrific. And also at the HIA show, you should know that too, at 8 o'clock in the morning, the executive breakfast, which is a fee on that one. They are talking about some of the exciting projects on Long Island that are out there. Trade show, free to attend. Just got to register in advance. Do that, HIA-LI.org. And if you can make it, great. Look forward to seeing you. I'll be down more in that manufacturing area because we're tying that into the job creation world. Very involved with the ECNY Foundation. Has to do with helping students find careers, find themselves to find careers. The high school career days is the reason why I speak at those things. I'd love to be able to help these students find out what it is that they're naturally good at doing and then pursue that. And that feeds into everything else that goes along the way. All right, we're just about done over here. It is Friday. Hopefully the weather, I think it's supposed to warm up around here or get even warmer around here. Got a few thunderstorms along the way. And that goes, hopefully the weekend works out really well for everybody. Next week, we're back. We'll see what happens Thursday because they're going to be in and out. Maybe we'll just do this thing right from the trade show. Maybe not. June 14th, I'm at the Miller Business Center talking about delivering your elevator pitch. Why? Because I don't want to know how you get paid. I want to know why you do what you do. And that really is the beginning of every conversation, not with me, but with everybody along the way there. So have yourself an unbelievable weekend. Thanks again for joining us over here. And till Monday, remember to do what you do. Speak well, speak often, and live inspired. Look at that. I finished early, 29:30. All right, we'll read off a name or two here. Chris, pleasure. David, Chris again. Marie, actually, great. Thanks for joining us here today. And and Chris, you're not talkative. And Kurt's always late, just like at the starting line. Ouch, ouch. We don't want to say that. Kurt rocks it over there. That's a great job, as with everybody. All right, we'll see you on Monday.